man I've ever seen.
How can you have any meat if you don't eat your pudding?
The Tommy Boyds Show.
There's no escaping here.
Tommy Boyds.
Cabin doors to automatic. Good morning. Have you got your coffee? Good. I'll tell you what I wanted to discuss, and I don't want it to go any further. And it's just this. It's a bit personal, I suppose, but, you know, we're all friends. And what are friends for if you can't discuss something personal? It's just this. You know, happily married now for about 13 years and known each other for over 20. But, you know, haven't made love now for about 11 weeks. I don't know if that's normal. Free call 0500 10 53 89. And, you know, love my wife very dearly, blah-de-blah. But I don't, you know, she's not as attractive. There was a time when she was very, very striking. My wife was very, very striking. In fact, a chap in the golf shop where she worked in Surrey when she was in between school and college offered her a job as a model. She was a very striking woman. Obviously a bit less so now. And I don't want to be disloyal to her. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not going to be disloyal to her. Because I love her too much, and there are children who we love very dearly, you know. But it's this, you keep hearing, don't you, about people who manage to have, and cover it up, and, you know, cover the traces and everything, manage to have a weekend, you know, a dirty weekend, I think, you know. Naughty weekend. And I was just wondering if anybody knew what's the best way to go about doing something like that. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I mean, how do you arrange it? I mean, I know that if you're halfway through sort of having a serious flirtation with somebody and it kind of falls into your lap, well, okay, that's fine. Lucky you know. And you're able to cover it up so that nobody knows and no harm is done and there are no strings attached and everybody walks away and everybody's happy and absolutely no harm is done, not even in the eyes of God. No harm is done. Great. But supposing, you know, you just want to start from scratch. I was just wondering if anybody has. And if you could pass on any tips, really, on things like, you know, where would one find a lady? Would you allow your daughter? If you're supposing your daughter was 22, you know, free and single, I don't know if you'd object or be quite interested in the idea of her furthering her, you know, romantic knowledge, her understanding of the world by having a weekend quietly away in a hotel. And that's the other thing. We'll get to accommodation. Should I wait until she takes the boys away for a long weekend or something and use our house? Is that different? Is that worse? Free call 0500 10 53 89. But is it something that you would mind if you found out that, you know, your daughter, or indeed would you suggest to your daughter, look, I know you could say to your daughter, I'm quite fond of this chap and I know he's married, but as long as the pair of you are careful, by all means go away for a weekend in Ramsgate, the pair of you, and and be careful to make sure that his family don't find out, and then where's the harm in that? Free call 0500 10 53 89. Particularly if you're experienced in this matter. I'm not particularly interested in hearing from people who want to say, oh, want to offer moral advice, and moral guidance, you know, and, God will damn you forever, and, you know, the 10 Commandments. We've all been around that block several times, haven't we? You know, you only get one life, and it's short enough, and you really shouldn't turn down any pleasures that life has to offer, whether it's having a proper vinaigrette dressing on your avocado or a dirty, naughty weekend. I'm not going to call it a dirty weekend. It'll be a lovely weekend. Pure as the driven snow, although with a woman who would not be my wife. Free call 0500 10 53 89. And what to pack? A lovely idea would be to do each other's packing. That would be quite exotic, wouldn't it? What to pack, how to arrange it, and one or two tips to make sure that you cover your traces properly. I mean, obviously, nobody in their right minds leaves a forwarding telephone number or pays with a credit card. And nobody in their right minds is going to pick a little tiny tumble-down old-fashioned seaside resort to do it, which is run by somebody like Basil Fawlty, because they won't like it. Their suspicion will be got up. Their hackles will rise. They'll do everything they can to shop you. What is it with people who shop couples who are having a quick, harmless, pure as the driven snow, naughty weekend? So, do help if you can. Or as Nick Ross says, if you've had a naughty weekend and you know the ropes and you know how to get away with it, do call. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. And Sally calls from Cornwall. Sally, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello, Sally.
Is that Tommy?
Hi.
Hi. I was just thinking, why don't you just take your wife on a dirty weekend? That's probably the best thing you could do, surely.
Well, we've done that loads of times, haven't we? And usually we're too tired, really. If you've got children.
I mean, yeah, but you're saying you haven't had sex in 11 weeks. It's probably because you're stuck at home with your children. Why don't you take your wife on a dirty weekend and then you can have sex?
But we've done it before, you see, and there's a bit more fun to be had in having a partner that you haven't actually been romantic with before. You know that.
No, first-time sex with a complete stranger is always a nightmare. The best kind of sex is
not. It might be with you, but it certainly isn't with me.
The best
and I don't want you
can have.
What?
The best kind of sex you can have is with someone who knows what turns you on already.
Absolute nonsense. The best kind of sex you can have is with somebody for the very first time that you've fancied all evening.
Well, so where do you propose to find this woman?
That's what I'm asking people. I'm asking anybody you might know. Free call 0500 10 53 89. All I want is a one-off. I don't want a great long-last... I mean, Sally, are you busy at the weekend?
I'm actually on a dirty weekend now, but I'm actually with my boyfriend of 7 years.
That's not much fun, is it, really?
Oh, we're having lots of fun. I just wanted, if you think that there's no problem with it, and I'm not completely against the idea, but if you think that it's a no strings attached, you don't see the harm in it, how would you feel if your wife went on a dirty weekend with a strange man?
Well, how do I know she hasn't?
Well, she may well have done, and how would you feel about it?
Well, I wouldn't feel too pleased about it, but then I wouldn't, expect to find out because she's not daft.
So you figure that what you don't know doesn't kill you?
Well, absolutely, that's true, isn't it? I mean, there are some things in life you just wish you didn't know. Sometimes you get a news story full of lurid details, and you actually think to yourself, well, I don't know why they told me that. I didn't need to know that. All the Grizzlies.
I don't know how... I mean, you say you haven't had sex in 11 months because you're both tired, but you wouldn't be tired if you went off for a decent weekend, left the kids somewhere sensible, and just went off and had a good time.
No, it's not that.
And rediscovered the fun.
No, you see, you shouldn't really be going around offering prognoses without actually making a few more inquiries. It's not because we're tired. I think it's just because...
Oh, you said that you were tired. That's why
one of the... No, that's when we go away for a naughty weekend.
Oh, right.
We just sleep in the same bed, but we sleep. There's no...
Pro Plus, that's what you need. Pro Plus.
No, I'm fitter than you, and I don't suffer from impotence or lack of drive. I can assure you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be asking this question, would I? Although I'm a bit out of the loop, not having been on the make for a few years. That's the other thing. I'm sure your standards of chatting up get a bit rusty, don't they?
Your standards of chatting up?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose so, but chatting up, you're never going to attract the type of person you'd actually want to have sex with crappy chat-up lines.
Well, it used to work.
Pardon?
I said it used to work.
They work, yeah, but they work on the worst kind of person. I mean, the kind of person who goes to bed with you because you use a shitty chat-up line on them is hardly the kind of person you want to have sex with.
I'm interested in an enjoyable romantic experience, okay? I don't want to sit down and discuss and compare Voltaire with Sartre.
Yeah, but is it romantic with somebody you've just met? It can be sexy, but surely it's not going to be romantic with someone you don't even know.
I really seriously wonder whether it is true. Something that I thought a long time ago and then put away because it was non-PC. Mm-hmm. And that is whether women fully understand the importance of the sense of conquest in sex.
No, I know it's very important to men, and I loathe political correctness as much as you do, but, I mean... Yes, men find the conquest easy, but why not have a conquest with your own wife? If she's been tired for 11 weeks or whatever the reason, why not have a conquest there and have a dirty weekend with your wife?
You've got a subtext here. You've got a hidden agenda that you're not even aware of yourself. And that
Really?
Yes.
Now who's He's being psychoanalytical, not me.
Your worry is that your boyfriend may be doing this already.
Oh, no, I'm sure he probably has at some point. I'm sure he probably has, and I'm not entirely against the idea, but I think, considering your opening speech about you and your wife, I think you should definitely give that a really good go before you explore other avenues, surely.
Well, Sally, enjoy the rest of your naughty week. It started early, hasn't it, your naughty weekend?
It did. It started yesterday, and it's going on right through bank holiday.
You're not that woman who advertises in Country Life?
God, no, I'm from London.
Who offers weekends away in Cornwall at a cottage for tired businessmen.
No, but it may be a business avenue I might want to pursue.
She'll pick you up from the railway station or from the heliport, you see, and whisk you away to her discreet, secluded cottage and pamper you for a weekend.
Well, I'm a student, so if there's some money in it, I might go for it.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Would you seriously?
What, if someone's going to whisk me away to the country and pay me lots of money?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would, but I'd prefer to do it if my boyfriend offered to whisk me away and pay me for it.
Yes, all this PC stuff, but, so you would...
I loathe political correctness. I'm not being politically correct.
So you would
I'm
make...
merely saying that you'd have more fun with someone you actually enjoy their company.
Okay, but you would sell sex?
I think everyone has their price.
What's yours?
Pardon?
I said, what's your price?
Depends how hideous the person was.
Me?
I've never seen you. Well, I haven't seen you since I was a kid.
Oh, well, let's leave that there, the show, and draw a line under that. Although I'm a lot craggier now than I was then.
Pardon?
I'm craggier now than I was then. In a sort of a Clint Eastwood way.
Everyone has their price. Anyone who says they don't have their price is a damn liar.
Sally in Cornwall, there. You have your price listening to this. It's just a question of how much. Free call 0500 10 53 89. If you just arrived at the radio, do you know anybody who's told you how do you arrange a naughty weekend? And what do you pack? And how do you make sure you get away with it so that your other half, my wife in this case, never finds out? Because that's important too, because you do love your spouse, don't you? Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. Yeah, we're trying to fix me up for the weekend. Well, one weekend, without Mrs. Boyd knowing about it. But just ahead, there's still time for you to register to take part in Where Am I with 1-to-1, the national network for free national calls. There's £600 in the prize fund, and that £600 could be yours if you can identify which town or city our 1-to-1 caller's making his free national call from. His clue into my show is I can browse around the market on a Tuesday, Friday, or Saturday. Where am I? The Where Am I competition hotline number is 0894 222 333, and the call will cost you 25 pence. We don't need your answer, just your name and number, and I could be talking to you before 4 o'clock. Alex calls from Oxford, and Alex looks like he has some advice. You're on Talk Radio. Alex, good afternoon.
Yeah, hi, Tommy. The advice I'd like to give you is, for a start, don't get caught. And the way not to get caught is to basically plan it to the finest detail. Because if you don't, you can be, the smallest thing can give it away. Right, the smallest little detail. So
a military operation.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's got to be, if you're using your own car, say, for one, if you're going with a girl, on your own private car, when you get back, you have to clean the inside of a car completely.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because otherwise she could leave a little bit of lipstick somewhere, she could leave a bit of eyeliner. That happened to me. One girl, she left some eyeliner and I got caught. Another one had blonde hairs all over the thing. This is my first time I did it. This girl had blonde hair, she molted all over the place.
Yeah, they do.
And that was an instant giveaway. My girlfriend flipped.
Yeah.
And I said, well, my mother had borrowed the car and stuff like this, and she had a friend who had blonde hair. And the problem was, but I hadn't even changed my clothes since I'd gone to this sort of place, this hotel with this girl. And she then found a blonde hair on my fly. Right, and that's, I was, this is the first time, I didn't know really what I was doing. So, but from that, I found out that, if you don't plan it, you can get in big, big trouble, and it's cost me an absolute fortune. Yeah, I mean, let's just do some of the don'ts, shall we? Don't wear dark clothing if the bird you're taking away is blonde. That's for sure. Okay. Make sure you really scrutinise the inside of the car if you're using your car, and really it's not a good idea to use your car. That's what trains are for, isn't it? Yeah, probably better to use taxis and trains and all that sort of thing. For sure.
Okay.
And do it somewhere far away as well.
Yeah. What about the smell of a woman's perfume, which can impregnate itself on your shirt or your jacket lapel?
Yeah, well, that's right. You got to wash everything, you know.
Yeah.
The whole lot, man. You got to have it all washed. Wash your hair.
All right.
Everything.
And what about the big lie, which is the reason why you say you're going to Eastbourne or Skegness or, you know, if you get really lucky, Monte Carlo?
Well, that you have to have a little window usually. You know, she's going somewhere or something. You know, you have to be a bit of an opportunist there.
Wife's going away. That's great, isn't it? But you wouldn't use your own gaff, would you? Would you?
No, that's pretty bad using your own gaff, I think. 'Cause
morally bad, or?
Yeah, it's not. It's a bit. Yeah, you know, because she cleans the place and you know looks after it all and everything. You know.
I'm a good guy. I love my wife. You know that. I'm only doing this because I've kind of been cornered into doing it.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a possibility that I might suddenly find myself with a stack of guilt and maybe embarrass myself by deciding I can't go through with it?
Well, no, not usually. It depends. It depends if you've been. I wouldn't do it now, right? Because I've done it, and I've been caught. I've been caught 3 times. Yeah.
Well, what are you ringing up, giving me advice for? Then are you?
No, but
You're
I
useless.
know the ins and outs. It has to be a military, otherwise you will get caught.
Yeah.
Because women have a sort of sixth sense as well.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing. Years ago, I had a girlfriend, and I saw another girlfriend one weekend whilst I was going out with that girlfriend, and she knew, but she didn't know how. And she didn't tell me at the time. She left it until we were having a blazing row about 6 months later.
Yeah.
And she said to me, "And you saw somebody that weekend when I had to go away to work?" And I said, "Yeah, I did actually, because I was already getting fed up with you. But how did you know?" And she said, "I don't know, but we do." And you'd bear that out.
Sorry?
You'd bear that out.
Yeah. Well, one girl, that's sort of the same sort of thing I had. This girl had pain in the pit of her stomach. She woke up in the middle of the night on that exact same night, and she couldn't sleep and stuff. And she knew she was like telepathic or something, you know?
Are women telepathic? Of course they are. It's a question of how good are they at telepathy. And if they aren't telepathic, how do they know? We probably give out the signals. This would be my worry. You mustn't overcompensate, I would imagine. If I do manage to organise this naughty weekend, because I love my wife very much, but it has been 11 weeks now since we've made love, and to be quite honest, I'm not attracted to her in the same way that I used to be. I sort of love her in the way that I kind of loved my mum when I was little, you know, just to be honest about it. But she knows me very well, so I've got to be good. And I think Alex in Oxford is quite right. It needs detailed planning and then tremendous emotional resolution if you're going to see it through. Or you could prove to your wife just how much you really love. I could prove to my wife just how much I really love her by a couple of weeks later saying, "Guess what nearly happened? And I realised it would have been a terrible mistake because I wouldn't do anything to risk losing you." Now, how about that? For heads you win, tails they lose. Abigail calls from North London. Abigail, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Tommy, give it up.
Give what up?
All these try and chase another woman up. You wouldn't get a chance. I am going to employ a private detective and chase you up everywhere you do and make sure smell, traces, anything you leave behind.
Would you shop a man if you
Yes,
thought...
I would.
Why?
I would come and chase you up and make sure, even take a photograph.
You
If
harridan.
touching another girl.
What
I
you're
come and
suggesting
tell
is a
Jane about it.
crime.
It's a crime.
That is a crime against humanity.
No, because she's got probably a headache, probably she's tired, a little bit of menopause.
That is the worst
Have you
form
looked
of
at yourself in the
stalking.
mirror recently?
How could you?
Have you looked at yourself in the mirror recently? Perhaps you have an order, some mouse order, food order, God knows what. You have to think of her too. She might not fancy you as much. And don't you even think how women would deal with men like you all their lives? I fancy to have a dirty weekend away just because my wife doesn't want to sleep with me. She's got a headache last night.
Where do you come from? What strange, mysterious culture are you bringing to this discussion?
The mystery of being very, very dedicated to your loved one.
Yes, I know, but where did you learn your social mores?
Social mores come from Persia.
Persia?
Yeah.
There is no Persia.
Well, that is the whole idea. We are keeping that mystery, that fantastic secret of love and share and care.
You're 80 years out of date with what your country's
not.
called.
I'm
never
not.
mind about your attitude towards romance.
Look, don't stir it up. If I was your wife, I would get you one of those blow-up dollies, yeah, and make sure that every time you feel totally frustrated and you fancy to have one of those flares, I blow it up for you with warm water or whatever. I shove you in the bedroom and say, get, and whatever you think you have to give to another woman.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I know where the Shah lives, okay? And he's somewhere in North London, and we can trace this call, and I know where he lives.
No,
and
you
he's
won't
still
be
got,
able.
and he's still got some big boys in peaked caps, and they, yeah, and they know what to do with matchsticks. So just you wash it, woman, all right? You come on the radio threatening me.
I am a private detective, and I'm going to chase you up, Tommy.
and
I'm not going to let you to get away with this.
You're a terrible woman, what are you?
I am a terrible woman.
She is a terrible, terrible, terrible woman. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Sally's on the line from Tunbridge Wells. Sally, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello. I was going to suggest maybe you should try magazines so you could meet like-minded people.
Well, I don't believe the human being exists who has ever looked through a magazine that had a Lonely Hearts column in it without reading them.
No, I mean like contacts, but you'll probably be waiting a long time because I think there's far more men than women wanting, casual relationships.
I said that because I wanted to, I'll be quite honest with this, I wanted to remind people who are feeling a little bit smug, self-satisfied, self-righteous and pompous with me on the radio, desperately looking for somebody to take away for a naughty weekend. We're all on the lookout. It's just a question of, how much courage do we have? Because you browse those contact magazines, don't you? And you
No, I don't, but I know I've got a friend who does. She's got an open relationship with her husband.
Really?
And, and she has, various affairs and everything. But
I wouldn't want that. That is sick.
What?
Having an open marriage.
Well, no, it wouldn't be for me either, but
It's
there are people where...
grotesque.
But it tends to be mostly men. I mean, you can look through any of these magazines and the list of men wanting casual relationships be far, longer than women.
Well, I don't know about that. If you look in, what do I read? I sometimes read the Private Eye contacts page, and there's almost as many women advertising there. My local paper...
Yeah, but what are they advertising for relationships or just adult fun?
Is that what the code is?
Yeah.
See, I don't know the code. I know what GSOH means. Don't laugh at me.
Yeah.
Don't mock me.
I'm not mocking you. But that's the term.
All it is
fun.
I've been, I'm rusty. I'm ring rusty because I've been loyal for the last 12 years. And this...
it's more dangerous nowadays.
What is dangerous?
When you think of all the things that you don't know the history of the person you're going off to meet. I mean, they could have all number of contagious illnesses that you can get. I mean, HIV for one, hepatitis. The list is endless.
Well, one would only, obviously, it would only be protected sex, obviously, Sally. I mean, people don't have unprotected sex on first dates anymore, do they?
I think they do.
You're joking.
I think so.
You are joking.
No.
Mind you, I have this theory that all of us are committing suicide consciously one way or another. Some people do actually, put a hose pipe in the car. Other people smoke, eat cooked breakfasts and drink. That's me. I would have thought that having unprotected sex on a first date, even though, we haven't, thank God, been saddled with the HIV epidemic that a lot of us thought we might, as far as we know.
I thought the HIV virus was rising more in heterosexuals.
Yes, but we haven't had the epidemic. Do you remember when those TV commercials were on?
In the 80s, yeah.
Weren't we frightened? We wouldn't drink from a cup from somebody if we thought they slept with somebody for the first time the previous night.
But I think I've read somewhere that hepatitis is on the increase through sexual contact.
Well, there's no point taking any chances, is there?
No. But,
really?
But that's one of the dangers that you face if you're going to, answer one of these adverts for casual sex. That's one of the dangers you've got to face, obviously.
Right, so if in the contact thing it says adult fun...
Yep, that's it.
That means no questions asked.
No.
How's your father?
That's it.
How is your father?
Fine.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. I thought I'd ask since it was there in front of my lips. Sally, thank you. You're not free.
No, I'm not. Sorry.
You, just thought I'd ask.
No.
Didn't do it very well, did I?
No.
No. That was rubbish, wasn't it?
Rubbish, yeah.
Sally, thank you for your call.
Okay, then. Thank you.
That really was rubbish. That was the worst piece of chatting up you've ever heard. Anybody could do better than that. I'm going to do better than that the next time. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I was just wondering if you just arrived at the radio. It's only this. Have you got your coffee? Good. Do you know anybody who knows about how to organise a naughty weekend? what to pack and how to get away with it, and you know, because you don't want to hurt anybody. It's the last thing on your mind. You want to keep your marriage intact. But at the same time, you know, a man is a man. Andrew's on the line from Yorkshire. Andrew, you're on Talk Radio. Can you help?
Hello, Tommy. Hello.
Hello.
Is your wife listening to this program?
God, no. What kind of a creature do you think I am?
Well, it sounds like you're a marriage wrecker.
On the contrary, how long have you been married?
It's my first wife, but we've been married near enough a year, but we have 2 boys.
Eh?
We
That was
have
quick.
two boys.
That was very
from
quick,
her
wasn't it?
first marriage.
Oh, she's a marriage wrecker.
No, she's not a marriage wrecker at all. Her husband used to beat 7 bales out of her.
She married a marriage wrecker.
Sorry?
She married a marriage wrecker.
She married a bloke who used to knock her about and knock the kids about.
Yeah, she married a marriage wrecker.
Right, but what you're saying...
Well, I've been happily married for 12 years.
Yeah, but you're
So what are
saying
you doing? What are you doing ringing me up, giving me advice on marriage?
You're saying that you haven't had a leg over for 12... was it...
11 weeks.
11 weeks.
Yeah, when did you last?
Last night.
What was it like?
Brilliant.
Good.
Absolutely brilliant.
That's not going to help me, is it? Not going to make me feel
I
any
think
better,
you're
is it?
just doing a wind-up, mate.
If only. Can't cope with the conversation any further, can you?
Why don't you make...
Can't cope with the conversation anymore then, can you? That was a bit pathetic, wasn't it, that little bleat?
Why can't you make love to your wife, then?
I didn't say I
You say
couldn't.
that she's ugly now.
I didn't say she was ugly. How dare you say my wife's ugly?
You said she's not the same person that you married.
You are one of the clumsiest people I have ever had the displeasure of speaking with, Andrew, and I will give your marriage another 6 months. Maximum. Doomed. Absolutely doomed it is,
We've
man.
been together for 6 years, Tommy.
What, while she was married to somebody else?
Oh.
And I'm a marriage breaker.
Well, you're putting it into other people's minds.
Well,
Go
you actually
away
put it into practice, you fool.
I didn't put it into practice.
What on earth lured you to the phone to think you know anything about this subject other than from the negative point of view, huh?
There's nothing negative about it. It's very, very positive.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Do call, even if you too are just back from the pub. Wendy calls from Brighton. Wendy, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon. Can you help?
I can.
Marvellous.
I think that you should come down to Brighton this weekend.
Now we're talking.
Because Brighton's a good place for a dirty weekend.
This sort of thing. It is, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's why I live here.
It really?
And, well, my boyfriend's going away this weekend.
Where's he going?
Yorkshire.
What for?
To his dad's 50th.
That's okay. Why aren't you going?
Because I've got a meeting on Tuesday morning and they're not coming back till Tuesday.
Okay. And has he been away for a weekend before?
We've been away longer than that. He went to Australia for 2 months.
What did you get up to?
Everything.
Did he know?
No, I didn't. I didn't get up to anything. I just had a great time.
But you didn't have a naughty weekend or week or month? No.
No, I did think about it.
Yeah, you do. Well, you do, don't you?
I actually went for it and then chickened out, like you said earlier, when you get
Yes.
to that point, and I was like, no.
Do you wish you had now?
I don't know. I think it was more fun wanting it.
You know he's going back to his dad's 50th.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that you're suggesting that I nip over to you, and it will be tricky because we've got a bit of a busy weekend lined up. We're moving home. I don't think you can really find an excuse to spend a weekend in Brighton when the family's moving home,
Yeah,
can
it's
you?
a bit difficult, isn't it?
Bit difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Listen, he's going back to his dad's. Presumably that's his roots, is it?
Well, not Yorkshire, no, but that's where his parents live now.
Oh, I see. They moved there.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if he's back on old territory,
Yeah, he might have an old flame there, but he doesn't know.
bound to.
It's a tiny village. No, his parents have only lived there recently.
If we did have a weekend, Wendy, if it could be arranged, if I got there on the Friday evening,
Yeah.
what would we do? Would we go straight out, or would we stay straight in, if you see what I mean?
Well, it depends what the passion's like, really. Maybe we need a few drinks to start with. You never know. Maybe not.
Well, it's a very nice offer. We've got your number, haven't we?
Yeah, oh yeah, and all the girls are coming down for the weekend as well, so there's going to be a few of us here.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
I think there's 4 of us in total having a girly weekend.
Ooh, I don't know if I can handle anything like that. Look, I know they say, you never forget how to ride a bicycle, but I should think you'd be a bit wobbly first time round the block, wouldn't you? I don't want to get on a Kawasaki 750. That's what you're suggesting. Thank you,
James is down here at the moment, isn't he, James Well?
Is he?
Somewhere about.
In Brighton?
Apparently.
I'll check the records. Thanks for your call.
Okay.
Nice lady.
Take care.
What a nice lady, ringing up somebody on the radio and offering, slightly tongue-in-cheek, I thought, but then, you never know, do you? You never know. I bet you there's at least one chap listening to this who's I don't know, probably late 50s, something like that, who had the opportunity to do this a couple of times, and like John Betjeman, because he regretted it, John Betjeman, that he didn't have more affairs, the great poet laureate. And I bet you that chap's wondering about phoning and saying, do it, because I didn't, and I'm here to tell you that you should have a naughty weekend, especially if you are happily married.
Talk Radio.
We call 0500 1053 89.
Yeah, help yourself to a biscuit. As long as no one's listening, and no one could possibly mind, I was just wondering if you knew how to arrange a naughty weekend, because I love my wife very much, as you would do after 12 years, but she's not entirely the woman I married, because, time marches on. We haven't actually managed to make love for about 11 weeks now. I don't know if that's normal. I don't mind one way or the other. It can be a chore. But, I haven't lost my get up and go. And I'm still very firm. My hair is all there. And I just occasionally get a second glance on the train. Although it's not always from ladies in their first flush. So I was just wondering if you know how to arrange a naughty weekend. And what to pack and how to make sure that nobody's hurt. Because that's the last thing. You just want it to be between you and yourself and the other person and God. 3 people who obviously won't mind because they're all involved. So they must be behind it. Jane calls from London. Jane, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Yo.
Tommy, remember Fatal Attraction and the bunny, so you've got to make sure you pick the right person.
Yes.
Don't pick a bunny boiler.
I've already picked her.
Oh, you've already picked her?
I've already picked the wrong lady.
Who's that?
My wife.
No, I mean for your weekend. You don't want somebody who you can't get rid of afterwards.
No, my wife's somebody who would boil a rabbit.
Yeah, well, that's why she mustn't know. I mean, if she don't know, it'll be okay,
Well, I like dangerous women. When we went to see Fatal Attraction, my wife and I, in the restaurant afterwards, we started to talk about the film. Do you know what she said?
No.
She said that was a film about a man who makes a terrible mistake and gets his just desserts.
Well...
And I said, no, it's a film about a mad woman. And we argued.
Yeah, but I mean, some women would go further than that, wouldn't they? They wouldn't just boil a rabbit. You've got to make sure that you pick somebody who is not going to want to cling on to you after that weekend.
Right, yes.
And also, what I think you should do is not actually plan a weekend. What you do... You've obviously got your partner in mind who you want the weekend with. So what you do is you just take off. You don't pack anything. You just take off and go where you want to go, right? And you just take it from there. You could, you're planning this big sex weekend. You could go away and then the first night you could spend all night talking.
But, like all gorgeous, talented hunks...
Passion Flower, that's your new name.
I wouldn't really feel complete if a woman were to say at the end of a naughty weekend, oh, well, that was very nice indeed. See you sometime, sunshine. I wouldn't want that.
No, but then...
It's necessary for us that you worship us and fall in love with us, so maybe that's a reason not to do this thing.
Yeah, but Tommy, there are some women out there that don't want involvement afterwards. They don't want you
with me?
No, with any man. Sometimes they would like a weekend and then maybe a phone call every now and again just to say, you're still alive and kicking, and maybe do it again sometime. They don't want sort of any more involvement of seeing a person every week. They just don't want that, because then that's when it starts to become dangerous, because, you start letting things go, and then your wife could find out about it, and that wouldn't be what the other person wants, and you don't want. So you just, just now and again, just to give you a little your marriage a little bit of spice. That's all.
That's all it is. Jane, thank you ever so much for your call. You've made me feel a lot better. I think you've tipped the balance that way. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, Tommy.
A nice lady. What a nice lady. Her place in heaven assured. Michael calls from Birmingham. Michael, welcome to the Hello.
All right there, Tommy.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, listen, mate. Well, I've just been listening to you here. Well, it's my first time, but listen. Well, how about slipping your wife a couple of £100?
Yeah.
She has a change of style. She gets her hair done.
Yes.
And she gets some new gear, and then you do the same, and you sort of pre-arrange to meet to meet somewhere, and she looks completely different, and you look completely different. And you act as though you've met for the first time.
Oh, and get drunk on pina coladas. What was his name? Rupert Thingy?
It sounds like heaven, mate.
Terrible song.
No.
Awful idea.
So you'd rather meet...
No, I can't do that. No. And look, some old slapper.
Yeah.
All right, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And as you rather inelegantly, but then you are from Birmingham, put it...
Well, yeah, we're basic here, mate.
Yes. Don't worry. I've done all right in the downstairs bar of the Metropole in Birmingham.
It's a good old place, though, isn't it?
Yeah, a couple of pints of that very creamy bitter. What do you call it? The black stuff. Well, whatever.
It's called sewage, mate.
Whatever. Yes. But as it so inelegantly put it, some old slapper, if it's somebody that you have not yet had the pleasure of romance with, you know, well, that takes a lot of beating, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but it always comes back to haunt you. And as that last sort of lady said, there's always that sort of bunny that gets burned, that gets sort of boiled, so...
Well, thank you for your call, and welcome to Talk Radio.
See you, mate. Bye.
Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. We will be sending you a talk... Now, there's a good argument for listening. Our next caller is Leslie, who calls from Llandudno. Leslie, you're on Talk Radio. Welcome.
Thank you, Tommy. Hello.
Hello.
I can't tell you how to book a dirty weekend, but I can tell you how not to do it.
What happened to you?
Well, something quite funny. Well, I don't suppose the gentleman in question thought it was funny, but I thought it was quite funny. Happened last week when a gentleman phoned and booked for him and his wife. I run a small guest house in Llandudno, and he left a contact number.
Right.
So the day before he was due to arrive with his wife, I suddenly realised that I'd got a doctor's appointment at the same time that he was due to arrive here. Okay. So I thought, I need to phone. So I've telephoned this number that he'd given me, and it was a works number. And I asked to speak to him and was told that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
But they promptly said, we'll give you his home telephone number.
Oh.
And I phoned.
Oh.
And his wife answered.
All right, how did the conversation go? I want all the I want the details, and I want the nuances of her shock.
Oh, well, I sort of introduced myself and said, I believe you're coming to stay with me tomorrow night. And there was a very frosty silence. And she turned to her husband and said, there's a lady on the phone that's under the impression that I and you are going to stay tomorrow night.
Oh, baby! Oh, la la!
So she put him on, and I said, I'm awfully sorry, you can't come at 11 o'clock, I've got a doctor's appointment. Could you make it half an hour later?
And he said?
And he said, yeah, fine, thank you very much, yes, thank you.
Oh.
And then before he put the phone down, I heard him say, I can explain.
Oh,
and I put the phone down then.
How did you make it clear to her, not knowing that it wasn't his wife he'd booked, that it was the two of them who were coming?
Well, when she answered, I just introduced myself, told her the name of the guest house, and said, your husband's booked for you and he to come tomorrow night.
You assumed that it was the pair of them? Fantastic.
Well, he'd booked for himself and his wife.
Fantastic, isn't it?
But he did phone me early the next morning.
Yeah.
And cancelled. Which I fully expected him to.
By Yiminy. That is a cracker, missus.
So that happened just last week.
I love it.
So, if you're going to have a dirty weekend, cover your tracks better than he did.
Yeah. Leslie, thanks ever so much for your call.
Thanks, Tommy. Bye.
Let's go to Chris, who calls from County Durham. Chris, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Oh, hello there, Tommy.
Chris.
I reckon you should fill your boots. You should go for it, mate.
Yeah.
Don't bother with the weekend. Just find somebody that you know, that you're acquainted with, that fancies you. You fancy her.
Yeah.
Go and fill your boots for the day. No aftershave, no perfume. Make it obvious. Book yourself into a hotel. Get there by 8 o'clock in the morning. Room service, no clothes. Go for it. Shower at the end of the day and get yourself home.
Well, it's a bit knee trembler-ish, if you don't mind me saying so, Chris. There is, I might be 45, but I'm still a romantic through and through, actually.
But basically, what you're actually wanting is just sex. I mean, good sex, admittedly. But,
I want adoration. I want to lure whoever it is into the false...
No, you're not going to get that. For God's sake, you're 45. You're not going to get that. If you're
good.
You know, you might be good, but you're still not going to get adoration. I'm good, but I don't get adored for it. I just enjoy it myself. Just go out and do it with somebody that you know likes you, you like her, and do it. And then your sex life will get better with the wife because you'll want your wife again, then you say.
You're listening to Talk Radio. That police officers will never get round to doing very much about them, but they are the things that drive us nuts, don't they? Absolutely nuts. People playing extremely loud music in their escorts. People who bicycle on the pavement, or bicycle through red lights because they don't think it applies to them. Well, it does. People who don't do their seatbelts up. People who let children wander around the back seats of their car when they're doing 30 and 40 miles an hour on the dual carriageway. People who speed. People who speed at the moment are deterred by speed cameras. So what's wrong with the idea of a boys' brigade youngster standing at traffic lights with a disposable camera taking photographs of anybody he feels might be speeding? And if the photograph is sufficiently blurred, it might act as some kind of evidence. Why not? Free call 0500 10 53 89. I saw a copper on the platform of one of the stations we went through on my way into Talk Radio, and I immediately behaved myself even more than I was. And you do that as well. Free call 0500 10 53 89. We need some boys in blue who are boys in blue. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
To celebrate One-to-One's new special edition free national call tariffs, we're giving you the chance to win hundreds of pounds by playing Where Am I? With One-to-One all day, every day on Talk Radio. Keep listening for clues as to the whereabouts of our One-to-One caller who's somewhere in Great Britain. All you have to do is call in and guess correctly where in Britain they're making their One-to-One free national call from, and the money's yours. If you're wrong, the clues continue and the cash goes up and up and up. So listen up, and every day you could win £500, £600, £700, £800, £900, £1,000. Play Where Am I again from 5 with Peter Dealey on Talk Radio with One-to-One, the national network for free national calls.
Spider and the Flies with Get Down Now. Why the title, Spider?
Well, you've got to, haven't you? Get down to your Renault dealer now. 0% finance up to 3 years, and the McGann Elise ends this week.
Right.
And that goes for all the other great Renault Freeways finance offers across the McGann range too.
A hairy thought, Spider. So, once more, let's get down now.
All Renault Freeways finance offers available subject to status. For written details, ask your nearest Renault dealer or call 0800 52 51 50.
0% finance up to 3 years on the McGann Elise ends this week. Another big hit from Renault.
Dad, how hot is the sun? What's England's largest lake?
Oh, that'd be Lake...
What's the heaviest ice
who do you think I am, Encyclopedia Britannica?
There's only one Encyclopedia Britannica, the Encyclopedia Britannica, and now it's even easier to use. Now it's on CD-ROM, giving instant access to every word of the complete 32-volume printed edition, plus graphics, audio, and video. Just type in a question, in seconds you'll get exciting, highly detailed, and illuminating answers. Which other encyclopedia is smart enough to be that simple to use? The Encyclopedia Britannica Multimedia CD-ROM is the encyclopedia you and your family will probably never outgrow. Call now and pay just £25 a month for 5 months at 0% APR. A total of just £125, interest-free. Free phone 0808 100 3100 for the one and only Encyclopedia Britannica. 0808 100 3100. Written quotations from Chancery House, St Nicholas Way, Sutton, Surrey.
Who are you calling? Tommy Boyd. Another look at the twisted maggots in the deepest recesses of the human soul. Oh, man! On the Tommy Boyd Show.
Law and order this afternoon between now and 4:45. Our police do a difficult job and they do it well, but they've got their work cut out dealing with Category A crime like bank robbers and drug dealers, and yet it's Category C crime that we really care about. So why don't we enlist the assistance of a group of people who are ready and willing and able to do the job? They are disciplined, they are trained, they're in uniform, they're Christians, so they'll definitely not make stuff up. I'm talking about the Boys Brigade. Give them a disposable camera, a dictaphone and a bugle. Graham calls from Oxford. You're on Talk Radio. Graham, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tommy.
So?
I think there's one main issue that you're ignoring here. Corruption.
Corruption.
Yeah, now you said before when you were speaking to Plod that the Boys Brigade were incorruptible. Now, I'm not a veteran of the Boys Brigade. I was at one time a Cub Scout. I was a Sixer, in fact, a position of quite high responsibility and respect. However, that did not stop me from falsifying my evidence to gain merit badges. Now, if this system is employed in the Boys Brigade, what's to stop that happening again?
There's a fundamental flaw in your difficulty with this proposition, Graham, which is that the Scouts are not a Christian organisation, whereas the Boys Brigade are.
Ah, right, I see.
Yes.
So, you're basing this whole argument then on the fact that all religious members of any organisation are completely trustworthy.
No, I think we're basing this argument on the fact that our police officers do need some help.
They do indeed, and fundamentally it's a good idea. I'd just like to know how we get around this issue of corruption, Tommy.
Well, just because you're corrupt doesn't mean to say everybody else is. I was in the Boys Brigade and there was never a whiff of scandal.
And never a whiff of scandal when you... Well, maybe not in the Boys Brigade unit you were attached to, Tommy. I'm sure it was one of a very high standing in the local community.
It was the second Feltham, man. We were hard as nails.
I can imagine you were.
Hard as nails and twice as sharp. We were ready to do the job.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.